and welcome to National Geographic Women of Impact. We have 4 amazing, absolutely amazing women who are doing work around the world to be able to empower young girls and women. Today is International Day of the Girl, and we want to be able to come on to share the work that these 4 women are doing to make an impact and to inspire young girls and women to be able to step into who they are destined to be. So to no further ado, I would love to first introduce each of you guys to our guest, and then we will go into conversation as far as all the work that they're doing. Renu Agarwal, she is someone who has helped to build a school in India, right outside of New Delhi, for girls that are in a village called Anupshare. And she is doing some amazing work along with her father and the rest of her team to be able to empower girls to be able to write their own stories and to be able to become who they are destined to be, regardless of the environment in which they have been raised. Have Jamila Afghani, who is coming in from Canada now, but she was residing in Afghanistan. And of course, as you know, she had to flee because of the overtaking by the Taliban. But she is still letting her light burn amidst all of that, and still inspiring women and girls to be able to one day step back into the power that they once had, that she helped to be able to build. Then we have Manuela Testolini, who has created an organization that's called In a Perfect World, which I love that name. And she is on a mission to inspire kids around the world, and with regard to education, to build schools, to be able to uplift them and encourage them for schools that didn't even exist. And also here in the US, where she is building centers across the US to be able to inspire underprivileged kids to be able to write music and write their own stories as well. And last but not least, we have Samira Maddox, who you can see in this beautiful blue hijab. She is coming actually out of Texas, but she is from Canada and Africa, actually, where she has built, is called Mu Delta Alpha, the first Muslim sorority here in the US, and where she is on a mission to inspire young girls, not just Muslim girls, but specifically wanting to sort of cater to them, to let them know that who they are is absolutely beautiful just the way they are. So that is all of the amazing ladies that I have for you guys today. And we all come together on the International Day of the Girl so we can be able to talk about the issues that are represented for each of them, both from India to Afghanistan, to Malawi, to Kenya. There are issues that are going on for some reason around the world where the rights of girls and women are just being suppressed. And so that's what we want to actually talk about. I want to sort of not only talk about the great things that these 4 women are doing, but I also want to talk about the issues that exist around the world today, because I think that's, unless we actually speak about those things and speak about what's happening, then we can't actually resolve them. We need to be able to speak to them first. So I guess what I would like to do, just open this conversation, is for either of you guys can sort of let me know what you feel the most prevalent issue is for girls to be able to sort of have their rights right now. What is the sort of, what sort of comes out to you as an issue that you see that girls need, that needs to be brought up, that needs to be brought to the awareness of those that may not understand the work that you guys are doing?
Thank you for having us today here. Today we are here to talk about the International Days of Girls. And I'm very sorry to say that today doors of schools are closed to the face of Afghan girls. Afghanistan is the only country on the planet Earth that their girls are not allowed to go to school, which is really, really disappointing for all of us here. And beside that, like a few days back, there was a suicide attack inside a school in Kabul, where majority of young girls who were getting ready for getting entry tests to the university. They were killed. More than 100 girls, young girls were killed, and more than 100 were injured, badly injured. So for me, as a person with disability, education made me empowered. Education gave me the strength to be in the position to help other Afghan girls and women to be in the position to help each other. And for me, education is the most important element in the life of any human being, especially for girls and for women. And that's why I have dedicated my life for the right of education for girls and women, not only in Afghanistan, but around the world. And in the past 20 years, we did a lot inside Afghanistan. We built up the community centers, home schools everywhere to spread the light of education everywhere. But unfortunately, with the Taliban takeover, most of the activities have gone down for women and girls, and especially it's really disheartening that still after 1 year of struggle conducting advocacy on national level and international level, but still we haven't succeeded to convince Taliban to reopen the schools for girls. The way today I'm crying since morning, many others are crying the same back at home. That why Afghan girls and women should be deprived of their very basic human rights, which is the right of education.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Jamila. I want to thank you, and my heart goes out to those that lost their lives and just for the right to be educated. And I'm so sorry, and I am so proud of you for not giving up, for still pressing forward, because they need your light. They need you to be able to keep that torch burning and to not give up. So
yeah, of course, yes. And in every platform on international level and national level, we are raising our voices. I'm raising the voices of girls and women inside Afghanistan. And I'm sure it will be changed, if not today, tomorrow, if not tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Yeah. This is the basic human rights that nobody, no wise person, no wise human being can deny that. This is our right. It should be given.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It is their right. It is the right of girls around the world to be able to desire to have an education, to have the freedom to do so, and to not in any way be prevented from that basic human right. I agree. Does anyone else want to speak to the rights of girls in education? I know, Renu, that's something that is dear to your heart as well in India.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to follow Jamila because you first had asked what are some of the issues that girls face with getting an education. And I was going to say that in India, at least in the community where our school is, it seems to be family pressure. Family, the fathers, the brothers that don't want the girl to be educated. They don't want to spend the resources to get the girl educated. They'd rather keep them at home and just get them married off. Girls are considered a burden. And so that's where we're trying to change that social norm by educating the girl, by sending them for higher education. And now we have over 120 girls that are graduates of our school in India that are making money. They have jobs and they're making more money than they're probably their whole family combined, and they're able to send money back home. And it is making an impact. Now, when we first started the school in year 2000, we only had 45 students. We had to beg families to send their girls to school. And the way we finally begged them was by bribing them. And we decided we'll pay 10 rupees a day for each day that the child comes to school. And we would give them 3 meals a day, give them their uniform, medical care, everything. And that's how we, even then, we had to beg families to let their children come to school. Finally today, now that they see our girls are graduates and how well they are doing, we have a line of girls. So for every student in our school, we have 100 on the wait list that want to get in. So that's the transformation that has happened in the last 20 years. But we still want to see that transformation at a society level, that girls can do and be anything that a boy does.
Right. Yes.
So that's where we are. But I am heartbroken to hear about Jamila and how the girls in Afghanistan are suffering, because that's much worse than what we have in India. And my question for Jamila would be, what can ordinary people like us do to help you get that message out there?
Thank you very much. Of course, solidarity, of course, leaning on the shoulder of each other, raising voice of each other. I think from any platform, anywhere you're in the world, you have to raise your voice to support Afghan girls and women to be able to get education and to have the right of employment and to have the right of social and political engagement. So today, the way the world show their solidarity with Mesa in Iran, there is need of such a solidarity with girls and women of Afghanistan as well.
Yes.
Yeah, we are with you.
Yes.
We are, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are. And so one of the things I guess that Jamila brought up, which maybe you sort of like talked about too, Renu, is changing the culture or the mindset of the communities in which there's an issue with girls getting an education. And I guess my question is, I guess that takes time, and I'm wondering, in what way can we sort of like encourage each other in our communities, regardless of what country you're from, to basically get involved and help change the mindset and the culture of preventing girls from having the right to sort of write their own stories and, and be educated and go into whatever career they want and all of those things. That the idea of changing the mindset and culture. Is there, something to speak about? Is there anything that you, Manuela or Samira, would like to add to that?
I was going to just piggyback on what Renu was saying, because having built schools in Malawi, there is a certain hesitancy to send girls to school. It's not banned like it would be, like it is in Afghanistan. And so, we spend a lot of time listening. I sit we have a mother's tea. I live in the village and we're building a community so that I'm immersed there and I can really see their needs from the inside out. And I always say we're building a school with them and not for them, because we're trying to address what their specific needs are, and sitting in council with the mothers. The mothers can also be hesitant. It's not always the brothers and the fathers, right? And their point in many cases is, the women, the girls are a burden. And so they're trying to hurry up and get them out the door.
Yeah.
And then there's also the sentiment that, they need the girls at home to help with fetching water, with taking care of younger siblings. But having sat with the mothers, many of them had not passed second grade. Most of them were illiterate. Whatever they had learned, they had not kept in practice. And so we, as an organization, have also given those mothers an opportunity to be educated, because once their light bulb went off, it made a big difference for how they advocated for their girls. So that was one simple change that started to help shift culturally what was going on in the community. Also, sometimes it really is us wrapping our arms around the entire community so that we're looking at what the other barriers to education can be. So if girls are spending 4 hours a day going to fetch water, it doesn't matter if the moms want to send them to school, they have other things to do. And so we started to bring in supporting services around the school. So putting clean water at the school, putting the meal program, like Renu said, makes a big difference. To have food being served at the school gives more of an incentive and reduces the barriers there. But, talking to the men also, and really having them understand that there is a benefit to the women. It's not that they're losing something. There is a benefit to educating the girls because they can go off and support themselves, and they can go off and send money back home, like the example that Renu's giving. And so I think it's really a mindset shift that it's one of the harder things to do, because you can change laws. The laws were changed in Malawi, many, many years ago about child marriage. But you really have to change the mentality in the communities, because that's a big difference. And so that's where I think you have to take things a step further than changing laws, but really getting in there and being open to listen about how you have to find those, even if it's 1 out of 20 women in the community that will advocate, and then empower her to give to make that cultural shift, because it's a bit difficult as a foreigner to come in and to say, these are my values and what I see should happen in this community. So to really stay in conversation, I think, is really important.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Manuela. I completely agree. And I admire you for being able to go in and to actually have an open mind as to what the needs are, because you're right. I think being able to meet those needs is crucial in order to be able to facilitate what you're saying, as far as to be able to educate girls. Samira, is there anything that you would like to add as far as your having just actually opened up Sakina Home for Girls?
Oh, so I'm so heartbroken with the girls in Afghanistan. I love everybody else's work. Manuela, I'm so intrigued by you being in Malawi. But I went to a village in Kenya. It's in Isiolo. It's a very small town, and they have only a boys' orphanage, and the orphan girl is always left with nothing, with nobody to advocate for, with no father to say, to protection. That small thing, that impacted me. I grew up as a child, as an orphan child, grew up in Africa, and I know how it is when you are an orphan and you don't have an advocate. You get taken to different homes, go help a different relative, go do this, go do that. So there's nobody, there's no education, nobody's advocating for you, no medication or nothing. So that's one of the big things in Africa for me, growing up in Africa, is poverty. We fight so much poverty, right? MGM is a big thing too. That's another thing. Period poverty. There's something else. So it goes on and on. Malaria. It goes so many things. So the family that the girl, the orphan girl, is left with most of the time, they don't have anything either, right? So the poor orphan girl is left vulnerable with nobody to take care of them, and I've seen videos surface about young girls in Africa being, sexualized by, people who come from foreign countries that say they're helping the young African girls or whatever. And this really, really touched my heart, opening up Sakina. It's not a big place, but the difference that we've made in those girls' lives, giving them a bed to sleep in, right? Giving them 3 meals a day, taking them to the doctors, talking to them on a regular basis. And how I've seen the 1 year that we've opened Sakina, we really struggled opening up Sakina, as you know, here in the US, I love the US, I grew up from Canada. That's where all my service came from. And when you're Muslim, you're trying to get donations and you're trying to tell people, hey, I'm trying to open up an orphanage, there's an obstacle there as well, because we have all these stereotypes about Muslims. Hey, where you taking the money? You know, what you doing with the money? You know what I'm saying? So for now, seeing these girls going to school, going to a private school, getting education and getting medication, getting food, getting a shelter, I think it's one of the most amazing things that we've done in the village, you know? So I'm very excited about the work that, you know, we're doing in Isiolo, Kenya, and I'm hoping that we can continue to do it and build something even bigger to rescue more orphan girls and to educate them, because I was one, right? I was one, and I got the biggest opportunities in the world. You know, my story is one out of so many, you know, that get an opportunity like mine, being educated, going to Canada as a refugee and coming to United States, married, getting education, doing my master's, doing all this stuff. And I could not sit in, you know, whatever I was doing and not give back to these girls, because they're living how I was, and I wanted to make a difference in those girls' lives, and education and poverty and so many other things, you know. So I'm very happy that I'm doing that.
Congratulations, Samira.
Thank you so much, Manuela. I appreciate it.
I want to piggyback on what Samira said there, because I think when you're talking about all those other issues, right, period poverty, and all the other issues that are particular to girls, I mean, the baseline for all of us here today is education breaks that cycle, right? Because we know that, I had an experience in 2008. I was in Mumbai, actually, looking at a partner that I wanted to work in the space of education with. And I remember volunteering at this school, and they were educating children from the slums in Mumbai. And the first day I had all these kids, it was boys and girls. And then day 2, were, you know, where'd all the girls go? It was almost like they'd sent the girls for show because they knew this foreigner was there to participate, and then they were gone. And I went to the community to see where the girls had gone, and I was really taken aback. Although I've spent, my mom's from Egypt, and I've spent many a summer growing up in a developing country, seeing the concentration of social problems in one place in the slum in Mumbai really was life-changing for me, because I felt for the first time in a long time very hopeless, because I thought there were too many problems. But by the end of my visit, came to the realization that if I wanted to deal with, you know, the hygiene issues, the underage brides, the child pregnancies, all those things that were going on in the community, that we really had to dive in head first with education and provide that for kids to break that cycle, because it's the great equalizer, right? And there's no, it's really hard to have a chance in all those other spaces unless you have this basic human right, like Jamila said to begin with.
Yes. Thank you so much. I completely agree with all of you. One of the things I want to bring up is education. Yes, that's so key. But for instance, if the education is being provided, but the mother and the father don't want to actually let that child have the education, then having that resource there doesn't really matter, just like you're saying. And so one of the things I want to bring up is, having visited Pardada Pardadi with Renu, what I had the amazing opportunity to sit in a village with women that had actually, through a program from Renu's school, they provide financial independence for the women, where they come together and sort of share their resources, so they're not subjected to things that they wouldn't, you know, want to be subjected to just for favors, but they are providing financial resources for each other. I really feel that that goes hand in hand, because if we empower our mothers in communities where the girls are not provided these opportunities, or not seen that they're worth or seen as their burdens, if we empower the women, then they will want to fight for and stand up for and provide for their daughters. But if we don't provide in some way for them to be free, for them to be able to sort of write their own stories, regardless of how old they are, they're not going to actually do that for their daughters. And so I think I really want to speak to that, because we can be able to provide the resources available, but they have to be able to be reached by the girl, by either their mom or maybe their father, letting them, sort of do that. And so that whole mindset of that. And so I was so blessed to really see that firsthand in India, that happening. And so I want to see if that's something that you guys can sort of speak to. But Renu, can you sort of speak to that program that you have there?
Yeah, thanks, Alysia. It's what we call our self-help program, self-help groups. And this is where we have about 5,000 women right now who participate in this program. We've divided the 5,000 women into subgroups of about between 10 and 20 each. And yeah, they pool their resources so that when one person needs money, they don't need to go to the money lender. They can work with each other. They have those pooled resources that they can pull from. Yeah, we've had women that have been able, like, they want to buy a cow so that they can start selling milk. And so that's what they'll do with the money. They'll buy a cow, they'll sell the milk, and slowly repay the loan while starting that small business. And many women have benefited from that. But it's not only the financial support that they have received, but also community support. So in fact, we've had times where if one of the women was getting beaten by her alcoholic husband every day, then the women will come together and support her and help her get out of that situation, whatever they would have to do. But it was it has become a way of life in that community. Now the men know to be to be more careful when they are dealing with a woman that is part of our program.
That's good. Yes. And so that actually speaks to what you said, Jamila, as far as women standing together. And that's actually a global. So can you speak to that? Because I love what you said in our conversation, that we are to lean on each other, that we are to sort of uplift each other. And if we, come together like we're doing here, then we can be able to sort of be and make the change that we're hoping to see.
I have 8 other siblings, brothers and sisters. So it was a big family, and my father was a rich man. He was a community leader, and it was a shame for a reputative man to send his daughters to school. So my rest of sisters, they couldn't go to school. And my brothers, they did their primary or maybe secondary school. And I had disability. I was not able to go to school because of the family culture as a girl. At the same time, the disability I had, like, I was unable to play with the rest of the children inside the family. And most of the time, like, I was getting sick and I was like depressed. So one of my doctors suggested my father to enroll me in school in order to create a little bit engagement or activity for me. So thank God, with this disability I have, it was life-changing for me in my life. So my father was convinced to enroll me in a school. When I got to school, so my books, my pen, my color pencils, everything became my wonderful friends and my way of entertainment. I remained busy with my books and drawing, expressing myself. And I was getting very high score all the time in the school because I had enough time to sit and repeat my studies because I was unable to play outside. So this made me in the position to get a lot of attention from my schools, from my teachers and everybody. But unfortunately, due to Russian invasion in Afghanistan, a big fighting started in Afghanistan, and we were compelled to get out of Afghanistan. Then we were refugee in Pakistan. I spent almost 18 years of my life as a refugee in Pakistan. So there was a little bit the area we were living, as we were rich. So we had our own rented house in one of the city. We were not living inside the camp. So we were close to educational areas. So that education, which became essence of my life, like I was trying to avail it more, then I was trying to further continue my education. But Peshawar, Pakistan is also very much traditional and patriarchal society. It was really difficult to be a refugee woman with disability from Afghanistan, living in another very tight area of Pakistan like Peshawar. So that was the time that my brother was saying, you're now grown up, you should not go out of house and you should sit at home and help your sister-in-laws. Then that time I built a good relationship with my sister-in-laws to get their support and to be able to get my education. So usually my sister-in-laws, they were protecting me from my brothers. So when my brothers were coming and checking, where is Jamila? So somebody was saying she's in the toilet getting a shower. Somebody was saying she's sleeping. Her health is not good. She's sleeping. Like this way, they were protecting me, and they enabled that environment inside the house, which allowed me to go and complete my education. I got my master's in international relation, and I start my a center by the name of Noor Education Center. Noor means light education center for women in the camp. That was like at the same time, like I was trying to help my sister-in-laws with their children education, their study, and some other item if they needed from outside the house. So this was a good lesson in my life, that how education changed my perspective, my understanding, and the building boundaries or connectivity to other sisters around you. That is a powerful way of life. Like now, I became educated. I became a person that now could help at least 50,000 girls and women in Afghanistan to get education. And now in this refugee life, after Taliban takeover, we are scattered everywhere in different parts of the world. The women, educated women, the technocrats and politicians, activists. Now I'm trying in this refugee life to build up that connectivity with sisters again, who are scattered everywhere. And I want to, we out from outside Afghanistan should become vocal voices for those who are suffering inside Afghanistan. And we again want to build that connectivity that I have learned from my personal life. And that's why I'm always saying that as a woman, like I do not see to a man to get first-hand support. Always it is needed in our traditional and third world. This is very common to have a man to give, to have his support. But I really believe in the power of sisterhood, leaning on each other's shoulders. When we are upset, we can cry with each other. When we are happy, we can share with each other. We can learn from each other's experiences. We can inspire each other. And we can do much great work. So I believe the world is in need of women leadership.
Yes. Yes.
In order to change this all ongoing wars everywhere, women have to become in that position to bring peace, friendship, love for each other.
Yes.
Yes.
I
I'd say that's what the men are worried about.
Mm-hmm.
Is that too many educated women means women will run the show.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
everything changes, right?
Yes. And I love what you're saying as far as the sisterhood. And I think I can definitely say that, of course, all of us on here are mothers, right? And I think if I'm got it right, we actually all have daughters. And so one of the things I will definitely say is the importance of being able to sort of be role models for our daughters. And that is, for all of those who are watching, not only, supporting those who are doing the work like all of these women, but to also within your own homes, to be able to inspire your daughters, to let them know that they can be anything that they set their minds to.
Yeah.
And maybe that means that, okay, you can look at yourself like, wait, I haven't actually become who I wanted to because of whatever reason, and which could be the case. And so sometimes we actually have to look within ourselves in order to be able to say, am I free within myself as a woman? And have I discovered my voice? Have I discovered my purpose? What things in my past or have prevented me even as a woman from being what I'm actually telling my daughter she could be? Because, we have to actually be that example in order to be able to inspire someone else to do it. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be perfect in it, but at least we have to be working towards it.
Yeah, thank you very much for this note. I have two daughters, young daughters. One is 11, the other is 12. And my 12 years old daughter wants to be president of Afghanistan. She says, Mama, I have to be president, and I have to change all these situation for women inside Afghanistan.
Yes.
And I really appreciate your words, like it is reflecting my personal life.
Yes. Yes. And so I have a question, which I don't know if you guys can answer this, and maybe if there's anyone that's watching can. What is it about a woman that there's so much fear about? Because I'm thinking that, here in the US, we're being told how we're going to manage our bodies. Other countries, no, you can't be educated. Here, no, this is what. Why is there so much desire to control women, to control girls, what they can do? And I'm trying to understand, why is that? Is it because, like you said, Manuela, is there a fear like, oh, if we allow that, then cultures are gonna change? What is that?
Yeah, I think there's some, I would just add to what you're saying by saying that I think the fear is really Black and brown girls being educated, Black and brown girls having a voice.
Yeah.
My friend Reshma Saujani, who's the founder of Girls Who Code, just had her book series of coding for young girls banned on the banned book list. So why something like that is so controversial to, and it's, the books feature girls in a hijab, Black and brown girls, very purposely, so that girls can see themselves, right? And can see that this is a possible path for me.
Yeah.
And the only sense I can make of it is that the status quo suits a certain population of society, right? And so, they don't want the boat rocked. And it is a very, thankfully, I will close that story by saying that there are a group of moms and teachers and girls who got the books unbanned recently.
Yeah.
So that part was a happy ending. But the fact that, we see all these controversial books being banned, but then that one's like, okay, but why this one? Why this series? And it was so, I can't imagine being Reshma and waking up one morning and seeing a headline about your books being banned, because you would never think that they're even on the radar for that. But I really do think that there's a palpable power in young women of color that is untapped, and we are tapping into it. All of us here. And I think that there's a real genuine fear about, what happens. And I don't think that, I wish there wasn't, because we're not trying to be, it's not isolated, right? We're trying to build community. We're trying to lift people up so that there is equity and justice. We're not trying to take over and remove and have other people have less. But I met a woman who, not just a woman, a chief in Malawi who I spent the day with, who was incredible, because she had a father who empowered her, and it was unheard of, but she had brothers who were older than her, and her father passed down this chiefdom to his daughter, which was completely
Wow.
unheard of.
Wow.
She was the one who then went to all the sub chiefs. She presides over more than 100,000 people, and convinced them to end child marriage in the communities, because although child marriage was outlawed, it was not being outlawed or stopped as a practice in the communities. And she fought, and she faced death threats, and she still fights now. And she's about, 4'11". She's this tiny little mighty woman. But it really takes, those individuals. And as Jamila was saying, connectivity and connecting, who are those soul voices in a, village in Malawi somewhere, or, women in Kenya or what have you, and to really lift them up in a way that there is, enough solidarity, and the conversation can start to shift, because it is really important that we are talking about what benefits society as a whole. We're not just only trying to benefit women. Empowering women benefits the world, right? It benefits the world economically, it benefits the world in terms of health, and in so many ways. And so I think that the conversation unfortunately gets pigeonholed into, you're only interested in lifting up girls for the sake of girls.
Yep.
And it's not just for the sake of girls, it's a broader conversation and a broader impact that can be had.
Absolutely. One of the things that I remember being said, which I completely agree, is that you guys have probably heard, they said that that within darkness, that your heart can be so sort of like saddened because of the darkness, but there's hope when the stars come out, and so I love that analogy, in that amidst all of the things that are going around in all the different countries as it relates to the rights of girls and women, I see each of you guys as like a star. You're like a light in this dark sky, that's continually sort of like blinking and saying, I'm here, and I'm gonna do all that was within me to be able to empower these young girls wherever they may be. And I think what we need to realize, the importance of the light that we have within us, and to not let anyone, be it a government or even people that are around us that don't believe in what we're doing, not to let them put that light out, and to not and to actually be able to look around and say, oh, I'm not the only star in the sky. That there are others that are out there that are just like us, that have as much light within us that we're trying to share with the world, and to not give up, because just as Jamila sort of said in the video, and I hope everyone sort of watches that, she said that she hopes that in Afghanistan, that they're at the darkest night, that they're at the end of that darkness. And so I hope so too. I hope that in so many ways, what's happening around the world as it comes to young girls and women not having their rights, not being able to sort of write their own stories and say who they want to be, and to sort of be that freely, that we are hopefully at some point coming to an end of that. And you're so right, Manuela, and each of you guys, the world is basically, it's at a loss because of how much we can be able to provide and put into it. Just look at us, we all are doing our own things, not because someone sort of gave it to us, but because we created it. And we actually birthed it into existence, just as we birthed our kids into existence, right? We birthed these ideas and wanting to sort of make the world better. And it wasn't necessarily something that someone created and gave to us. We came up with it from our hearts to bring it to fruition. And we need to be able to do that more. And if that's, what, whomever it is afraid of, what they need to keep being afraid. Because I, for one, I'm going to continue this work. I am going to continue to bring women who are amazing and impactful like you on this platform, and to basically encourage and inspire you to keep doing your work. And I want to inspire young girls who are needing to look to someone like you, and like look at these women who are doing work to make the world better, and to know that their voice matters. There's so many women and girls around the world they don't even think their voice matters. They've never had the opportunity to even be able to utter their words out of their mouths, to even like have anyone listen. But I feel that it is time. It's time, and I love the analogy of this picture of giving everyone a blowhorn, giving everyone a blowhorn and saying, you know what, it is time for you to use your voice. It is time for you to know that your voice matters. And so I can't, we're almost like wrapping up. I can't believe this. Told you guys it would go by quickly. As something that you guys want to be able, I want you guys to give a final thought to any young girls or women that's watching, just words of encouragement for them to sort of keep going. Can you guys just share that as the last thing as we wrap up today?
So I want to talk to my African girls, my Black girls, right? I wanted to tell them, look at me, right? Nobody believed like somebody like me would start the first Muslim sorority. We have chapters across the United States. We do a leadership academy for girls, a girls summit, having Sakina home for girls. Inshallah, one day, God willing, I hope that I can build that school that I've dreamed about in Isiolo, Kenya, to empower girls. I was told that I could not do it. I had a lot of things that were hindering me, including the hijab. I identify myself as a Black Muslim woman. My voice wasn't going to be heard. I'm the loudest person. I make sure my presence is felt, when I'm in when I'm in a room, so that nobody can think as me as a Black Muslim woman do not have a voice, and that's what I want to tell girls, that you can do it, especially to those African girls, because I come from that background, right? And yes, you can do it. Yes, you can get educated, even at what age you can get educated. And yes, you can, right? You can do whatever you want to do and put your mind into it, because your mind is an amazing space. I swear to God, I love studying the brain and everything. And you know what? Whatever you put your mind to it, I promise you, you can do it.
Oh, yes.
I'm a great example.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Samira. Anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, Samira is a great example, and I would just tell any girl that you can do anything that you put your mind to and anything that you want to do. And I would encourage them to feel out people that are around them, whether it's their mother, their sister, the neighbor, an aunt, and even men in their family. They may find somebody that's sympathetic to their goal and will help them. Find out those people within your community and take advantage of those resources. They want to help you as much as you want help from them. They are looking for an opportunity to help people. It makes all of us on this panel, it makes us happy to help other people.
Yeah.
And we are not alone. That so many people in the world are the same way, not only women, but men. So to seek out those resources, little whispers, you'll find them. You'll find people that will help you complete whatever mission you desire.
Yes. Thank
Amazing.
you, Renu. Thank you. Any lasting words, Jamila and Manuela?
Yeah, I would say usually in our society, in our families, it is considered that girls are weak, women are weak, and they are burdened. I think this is the very, very, very wrong way of interpreting women. Girls and women are very strong.
Yes.
They have to believe in this, that they are strong. And our religion, Holy Prophet says, the paradise is under feet of mother. It is a very huge saying. If anybody with high morality can go to paradise, and that paradise is lying under the feet of mother, it means mothers are those strong and powerful human beings that that mainstream the way from this world up to that world. It is the leader is that mother who can mainstream that guider, or that flag flyer at the top of the row of men and women who can go from this world to that world to have a good life here and a good life there, is because of mothers. So we have to believe in our strength and our power. As my other sister said, they can build their alliances, strong alliances, find those who can support them. And they also should be very generous to offer their support to others in order to build that connectivity with each other. And this is the way that women can be empowered. I remember when I was young and I was disabled, my aunties, they were telling my mother, like, do some treatment for this girl. Nobody will marry her. She will be a burden on your shoulder. What you will do with this disabled girl? But today, thank God, with that disability, I'm a woman that helps other women for getting education. And I'm a mother of 2 beautiful daughters and a wonderful son. And my husband is supporting me to continue my work. So this is the power a woman can have and can lead. If we can duplicate this, there will be light and light around. And that's why I'm saying that if you're lighting one candle, that one candle will be in the position to light many other candles around. So this way we are giving light to the world.
Oh, I love that. I love that image. Yes. And Manuela.
So I would say, just piggybacking on what everyone just said, I think, Samira, it's clear you have a voice. I think you've had a voice all along, and I think every girl does have a voice, and we just need to let them know that we're listening. Because I think there's a notion that, you know, girls can be voiceless, but I think all of us here have found that girls have a voice, and I want them to feel that whatever small part they can do is enough. Because I, for myself, at one point thought, you know, how am I going to tackle all of this? And I had to understand that I would do my part and then inspire someone else to do theirs, and that together we could create this community of change. And I think that that's also what Jamila was saying. It's just light the next candle. And also for them to know that we're here, and finding those allies, whether it is within your family or your school or your community. You don't need a lot, you just need some good ones. So starting there, start building that up so you don't feel alone in what you're doing, I think is very important.
Well, I can't believe we've come at almost close to the hour. And I just want each of you guys to know, I said I wasn't going to cry. Okay. Okay. I want each of you guys to know I am so proud of the work that each of you guys are doing, and the light that you're shining into this world. And I want you to know, regardless of where you are in the world, that I have so much love and respect and support for each of you, and to continue the work. And one of the things that I've learned, and even on my journey, is that continue to plant the seeds of hope and love that you're doing. And when you're planting those seeds, don't wait for it to sort of blossom and come up. Keep going, because one day you're going to look back and you're going to see this beautiful field of things that you planted, and girls that you have inspired, and women that you've inspired. And whenever that day comes, we will be able to all look back and see that the difference that we were able to make in all the ways that we're making them. So for those who are watching, I want you guys to stay inspired. Please follow all of these amazing women and the work they're doing. Support them, uplift them, encourage them. And if you need support to do any of the work that you want to do in your country, please reach out to me, reach out to them. Like we've all said, us as a sisterhood, we will stand strong together and we will be able to make a difference in the world. And I love you guys all so much, and happy International Day of the Girl.